everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Sarai and I am a life coach helping you learn how to manage your mindset so that you can achieve the life of your dreams and the life that you truly deserve. So subscribe to my channel, turn those notifications on, and give this video a like when you're done watching. So today we are talking about the second part of taking back control of your life. So make sure that you check out video number 1 in this series. All right, so now we are going to be picking up right where we left off. Now, this concept is a little bit more difficult for people to kind of wrap their head around. So here's the thing. It's going to be no blaming, no complaining, and no excuse making. Now, I know that sounds kind of like, what do you mean? Like no blaming? Well, but sometimes there are just outside factors that influence whether I'm having a good time or not, right? Or whether I'm happy. But is that really true? You know, we learned from video 1 that E plus R equals O. So that means an event only has a certain outcome depending on your response. So if you choose to view it in a negative way, whatever that event is, then you are going to have X response, or rather O response, right? An outcome. And then if you view it in a different way, in a positive manner, then it's going to create a different result for you, a different outcome. So when you blame, and here's the thing, I want you to consider just giving it up at least for one day, just for today, I would say just try this, okay? Here's why. When you blame, you basically take the focus off you, meaning that you give away your power. When you take the focus off you, when you say this person or this thing is the reason that, you have no control over that. Like, you have no power to actually change the outcome, right? So that's not going to serve you. Moving to complaining is basically saying, well, I prefer this instead of that. So I'm focusing on what I don't want instead of actually focusing on what I do want. You know, I say this, I use this with my clients all the time, right? So it's like a universal buffet. I call it the universal buffet. So let's assume that you're at a buffet, and if food doesn't work for you, put your head into a window shop, right? You're looking at a whole bunch of beautiful outfits or beautiful shoes or whatever it is, okay? But like, I'm gonna use food. So I like food. So let's say I'm at a buffet, but it's like really, really good food, like amazing food, and tons of just gorgeous dessert, like a wedding buffet or something, right? So here I am, I'm at a buffet. If I come across something that I don't like, do I sit there and go, I do not like that. If that has onions, I'm not a fan of onions. I do not like that. No, that doesn't work for me. I just don't like the taste of it, but I'm still staring at it. I don't like it. Is that what I'm going to do? Absolutely not. What am I going to do? I'm going to move on to something I do like, ooh, chocolate. Yay. You know, I mean, that's going to be my response. With shoes, I don't like these. I'm not going to sit and stare at something that I don't like. I'm going to move on to find something that I do like. That's what complaining is. If you constantly complain about what you don't like about something, you're basically staring at food that you're not going to eat. Like, how is that going to further you? How is that going to serve you, right? It's not, all right? So that's why we don't want to complain. We don't want to blame. And excuses, just leave them at home. No, don't leave them at home. Just throw them away. No one needs them, all right? Now, we're going to be moving on to difficult relationships and difficult situations. So going back to the E plus R equals O, the only thing you can change is you, right? That's it. You can't change someone else, right? So if you think of this difficult relationship that you have, you most likely are going to think about, why can't that person change? I want that person to change. I don't understand why they can't see it my way. I don't understand why they can't just do this. It's simple. I'm not asking for anything complicated, right? But you are asking that person to change. The only thing you can change is yourself, your responses to the situation. So in a marriage, the only thing that you can change is your response. You cannot force somebody else to make a change. That's why expecting someone to change, it just doesn't work. You have to respond differently to it. So think of a situation, or a relationship, right? Think of a relationship where you're not quite happy with the outcome. Okay, you're not getting a desired outcome. How do you currently respond to it? And how could you possibly change your response to get a different outcome? I suggest even just playing around with it, right? Because if you're currently not getting the response that you want, it can't hurt to switch it up a little bit. Just saying. Now, when you think of a difficult situation, have you ever heard, which I know that you have, heard a situation where you're like, that is just, I can't believe that family had to go through that. What maybe their house, something happened to their house, it burned down, or just, maybe with Australia, and everything that they've been going through. But like, have you heard a difficult situation like that where somebody, I have a hair right in my face, where somebody responded in a way that you were just blown away by the grace that they had? And they just responded in such a way that it just, you were taken aback by how amazing they are responding. It's because chances are they were using the E+R=O equation without even really knowing it. They were implementing that without even fully understanding it, or maybe they are aware of it. But that's an example of how you can respond to get an outcome that will help you, that will give you some peace, and that will further your goals or whatever it might be for you. Can you think of a situation where maybe you responded in a way that didn't serve you? I'm sure that we all have them. Okay, now our next tip, moving on, tackling incompletes. Okay, this is a big one. We all have them. Incompletes are just anything like an incomplete project, anything that we have put to the side. This can also be messes that we have around the house. Like, let's talk about like a messy garage, okay? Or maybe like a junk drawer that we just kind of go, oh yeah, someday I'm gonna get to that, someday. I don't know about you, but I don't know when or where someday is, but I've never come across it, all right? So that's what happens in someday. All right, we have like a junk drawer. Maybe we have an irritation, right? Something like an annoyance, like a door that doesn't work properly, a garage door, or just something that we keep avoiding, right? These things, incompletes, are like a dark cloud kind of hanging over us, right? And it's really hard to kind of have sunshine when you got dark clouds around you. Another way you can think of it is that it kind of zaps your energy. Okay, it takes your energy away, because either one of two things happens, right? Either you constantly see it and you're annoyed by it and it's just draining you that way because it's on your brain, or you're ignoring it, which actually takes energy too. When you ignore something, it takes energy to ignore it. And it takes away your focus. So it almost like, it actually hinders you from really focusing and honing in on your goals and what you actually want to achieve. And then not only that, but it almost kind of puts us into what's called resignation, which resignation is when we feel like, if I can't accomplish something as simple as cleaning out a junk drawer, how can I possibly achieve my big, huge, audacious goals, life-changing goals that I have in my brain? How can I possibly get to them when I can't even fix the garage door? I can't even clean out the garage. I can't even, clean up the pool or the lawn, whatever it might be. When you have these things on your plate, it just takes energy away from you, focus away from you, and it kind of hinders your subconscious in believing that you can actually do it. If there was one thing today that you could actually complete, what would it be? Do you have it? And if you do, can you go do it right now? Like right this moment? I'll wait, I'll be here. And if you didn't pause the video and go do it, first of all, ask yourself, why not? Why not? What's more important? And then the other thing to think about is, listen, you're right. Like, I won't know. You're probably saying, yeah, you don't know, and that's fine. I don't know. But who is this really hurting? Is it hurting me? No, it's not on my list. It's hurting you. It is taking space in your life. So when you actually clear it off, It creates not only physical space, but mental space. It allows room for the things that really are going to serve you in your life. Now, the next one, we're moving on. The next one is ignorance is not bliss. Now, what I mean by this is that there are yellow alerts that happen, okay? Warning signs, things that that we usually ignore, right? Because it's easier to ignore them. It's easier to ignore something than to actually address it. Okay, but these could be, and really, if you think about it, do they ever really go away if you ignore them? No. In fact, they usually get bigger, right? And it's that intuition, like that gut feeling, but it's gonna be a small voice to start. It's gonna be kind of like, yeah, we should do this. Yeah, we should do this. And you're like, oh no, because I'm not actually doing anything to further my goals. So I'm going to ignore it because it's okay. It's fine. I don't need to address it right away. But by keep pushing it off, it actually grows and grows and grows. And then you're not even going to be able to accomplish your bigger goals because it's so big that it's then going to actually be a major thing on your list. So that's why we want to address the yellow alerts as soon as we can. These are things like, let's say that you have a negative bank account, right? Like that happens. Your bank account goes negative. Okay. Everybody has that happen. I'm not saying that that's necessarily a yellow sign, a yellow alert. But what happens if it happens again a few weeks later, and then happens again a few weeks later? What is that telling you, right? That's telling you, hey, check it out. We need to take a look at spending, right? And then you can kind of address that. But if you let that continue, that could develop into a serious issue in the future, right? Preventing you from possibly really doing something in a business that you really want to, right? Because what if that starts to affect your credit, right? Yellow alert. Address it while you can so that it doesn't get bigger and that you can really focus on what you need to do. Another thing that might happen is like sleeping past your alarm. You might be thinking, oh, it's no big deal, it's no big deal. But if you continue to do that, if there's an issue, that's your body saying, hey, wake up. Well, no, it's not saying, hey, wake up. It's saying, hey, go to sleep. But hey, brain, we need to address it. All right, we need to look into this because that could be an underlying health issue, or it could just mean that you are wearing yourself out, which could lead to some sort of chronic condition. Who knows? You know, these are things, again, these are yellow alerts, warning signs that we need to address. What about speeding tickets or running late for things? Those are actually two things that seem more simple than they are because they could have also some underlying issues. If you're always in a hurry, if you got to go, if you have a sense of urgency, that's telling you something, okay? And then same thing with being late, which is like the opposite. That's your subconscious telling you something. All right, so these are great things to think about. And, and when we ignore them, it's just diminishing our power. It's diminishing our power to change what's in our lives. And when you find a solution to these things, it actually helps build confidence. It shows your subconscious that you can do this. You do have the power to change. You're like, wow, I am successful. Look at this. Right? This is so powerful. And again, we had talked about this in the last video. How would a successful person handle that? Would a financially successful person ignore their bank account going negative? No, they would not. And then think about how would they handle it? Oh, so good. Oh, so good. Okay, now we are moving on to our second to last one here, create it. This is about visualizing it, right? So we have figured out the fact that we can change. Then we take a look at what we currently have been doing. And then we take a look at what we want to like how we want it to be different. And then think about how we actually can go about doing it, right? Planning ahead, visualizing, taking the opportunity to actually say, okay, so now let's be proactive with it. A great way to think about this is, I like to say it's like a GPS, okay? I tell my clients, it's like a GPS here. So you have the option to plug in direct coordinates, direct address, right? 123 Main Street, New York, New York, 11111, I have to count 5 ones, is going to get you to a very different address than New York, New York, right? Like, if you put in a very specific address, you are going to get a specific building on this street. This is where you want to be. But if you just leave it generic and just say, yeah, I want a lot of money, like, is that actually going to get you real results? You might, but you're going to have a much better shot at getting exactly where you want to be if you are specific with the details. Otherwise, New York, New York is a big place, and there's a lot of places you could end up, and some of them you might not want to be in. So it's the same thing, right? And not only will you get what you want, but you might even get better than that, because the brain does not distinguish the difference between a vividly imagined idea versus something that you actually experience. Okay, this is actually why fear, which we label fear, F-E-A-R, fantasize experience appearing real, it's all made up in your head. But that's good news. It's good news, okay? Because it means that you can change it, right? So if fear is made up, and actually the good stuff is made up too, right? Where we want to go, that is made up. That we can vividly imagine that in our heads, and we can still get that outcome because our thoughts make our results. And that's why we can change the outcome with something. Acknowledging your successes. Okay, so have you had any, either from the last video or during this video, have you had any like aha moments, any like breakthrough moments where you're just like, oh my gosh, yes, that is me. I have been doing that. Or I see how I can change my response. Like, has your outlook changed? Have you found yourself just wanting to be different? Just wanting to be different, wanting to respond in a different way? That's what's so key here, is just thinking that you want to respond in a different way is how everything changes, right? I want to get a little philosophical for a second. You know, control is an illusion. Control itself is an illusion, right? The only real thing is impermanence, right? And they say change is the only thing that is constant. Impermanence is really the only truth. And the only control that you have are your thoughts. And the best way that I can kind of explain it is that when you feel ultimate control, it's when you realize and you accept. That's really what it is. When you accept that you have no control. When you truly are in control of your emotions and your responses, it's because you accept that you can't control things outside of you. Now, let me ask you real quick. How are you doing? How do you think, like on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel? You feel pretty good? Yeah? Well, okay. If you didn't answer a 10, you failed. You failed the test. And that makes you an idiot. Okay, so what do you think about that? Are you thinking like, I'm not an idiot. What are you talking about? What? How could you say that? Right? Did you get a little upset? Did you get defensive? Did you get offended? How many times has that happened to you where somebody has said something and you got offended by it? Like, if you're a mom or a parent, a dad, has somebody ever said to you that they think that you are maybe not the best parent? Did you get offended by that? Well, guess what? That's internal. That's an internal story that you tell yourself, because I can put it to you here. Perfect example. I can tell you, I don't like your blue hair. Okay? Now, you might be thinking, all right, like, no big deal because I don't have blue hair. Well, guess what? The same applies to anything that anyone says. And by the way, if you have blue hair, you can change it to something else. You can say that, like, I don't like your pink hair, whatever it might be. Okay. But like, If you feel a certain way, it's because you have a thought in your mind that is somehow agreeing with something that that person said. So if you told me, right, like, I don't like your red hair, I could choose to get offended and think, oh, like, what's wrong with my hair? Or I can say, well, guess what? I love it. You can say whatever you want to about it, but I love it. Then that means that I don't have an internal story that tells me that, well, yeah, no, maybe it doesn't look good, right? Same thing with the parent. Oh, yeah, like maybe I am a bad parent. Maybe I shouldn't do that. Maybe I could do more. I could do here or there. That's why guilt is self-inflicted. Nobody can make you feel a certain way, ever, with anything. This is in your power to always feel a certain way. So when you get defensive, when you start to get offended by something, ask yourself what you're telling yourself. It's you that is saying it. It's not what that person is saying. Again, we go back to how you're feeling. If you are feeling bad, it's because you have a thought in your head that is telling you something negative. It's not what the other person is saying. It's what you're saying about you. Your inner peace is about believing that it's okay to have no control over other people or other events, right? Again, going back to that ultimate control, being at peace and understanding, accepting that you only control you gives you immense peace within. And you can't really have peace until you accept all aspects of you. So just understanding and working through your thoughts and being okay with who you are and allowing yourself to feel emotions is perfectly fine. In fact, that's what helps you become more centered and more peaceful. Well, this concludes our Taking Back Control of Your Life video series. I want to thank you so much for joining me. Again, make sure to subscribe to my channel, turn those notifications on, give this video a like. My name is Sarai, and I am a life coach helping you manage your mindset so that you can achieve the life of your dreams and the life you truly deserve. All right, I will see you soon.